What's going on? What's going on?
Nothing much, just hanging in there. So, I have to make a joke to open up the podcast. So, just so that all of yours know, we shot this episode on Sunday and it was amazing. It was so good. But yet, when I went to go look at the footage, the audio was not there. So, I had to reshoot it. And luckily, Hassan was available and more than willing to do it with me. And I was super, super happy. So, thank you again for being on the podcast.
Oh my God, of course. Thank you so much for having me. I just spilled a bunch of water everywhere. It's
Oh my
great.
God.
I love it. I love it. Things, happen. This is live theater, folks, and that's life.
Absolutely. So just to set off, I wanted to know what are your pronouns? Can you give a little introduction about yourself and like kind of what you do?
Yeah, so all pronouns apply for me. He, she, them, they, all of it, as long as you are calling me, that applies. And I am a Latin drag performer in New York City. I am the bearded beauty of New York City, and I sing live. I mostly perform in Astoria, but if you are hiring me, then I will come to you. And yeah, I like to uplift my Hispanic community. I'm very, very vocal about injustices in the world, and I just love showcasing people that I believe need more of a platform.
Awesome, absolutely. So let's jump straight in. So, like you said, you're a drag artist. Can I use like the drag term, drag artist, drag queen, interchangeable? Is that okay?
All of it, yes.
Okay, so you are a drag artist that performs in Astoria, but what most people don't know is you start. So, I was doing my research, had to do a little digging, and there is supposed to be being a flight attendant. So, how did they go from being a flight attendant to now being this amazing drag artist?
So I started drag the same year that I started being a flight attendant. So I started that in 2016. And I remember starting to fly and just kind of missing the artistic aspect of myself. I've always been a singer. I went to a performing arts high school. I just have always been singing throughout my entire life. So I really missed that. And then also, I didn't really have a chance to commit to any rehearsal schedules for anything else because I used to also be in a professional choir. And so I missed that side of myself. So that same year I decided to do a debutante show for first time in drag performers. And that June, I said, you know what? Let me just go ahead and do this. And I put on my little wig and I put on a little dress that I got from Rainbow. And I said, you know what? Let's just go ahead and do it. And it just kind of grew on from there. I was doing it as a hobby at first, and um it just got it just became this monster. And I'm now doing it full time. I quit flying, and it's truly been such a blessing to have been able to step out of the box and just really step into this calling that I feel like I'm very much aligned with.
Absolutely. And like you mentioned, like you're kind of like you're a bearded drag queen. A lot of the times, especially like, when you go to these other shows, you see like clean shaven, there's no hair, not even a stubble. And so the
Mhm.
fact of like you are a fully bearded drag queen, kind of what inspired you to want to do that? Or was it something that you saw others doing and or like what the kind of like your way of kind of like setting yourself apart, being like, listen, like I'm gonna do this bearded thing so I can make more money.
So I remember Matthew Anderson, who used to do RuPaul's makeup before Raven. I remember seeing pictures of Matthew Anderson and just kind of being so wowed by their makeup artistry. And then just like even for back in that time, it was so like impactful for me. When I started drag, I was not bearded. I transitioned to being bearded during the lockdown during 2020. And that's when I was like, I really love the gender fuckery of it all, because drag in general is already so bendable, and you can make your own rules. That for me, the way that I felt most authentic in my drag was to celebrate femininity and my masculinity. But in the society that we live in now, it's kind of like, we were kind of beaten to death with masculinity, that presenting it in such a camp way really, really speaks to me. And it's like, obviously I'm not trying to be serving fish here, but it's really, the level of beauty and the level of artistry, it doesn't take away from the drag. I think that in my aesthetic, I feel like it's such an important part of it, because it's saying, hey, like, I'm not a man, I'm not a woman, I am this being that is kind of just otherworldly. And that's what I like to celebrate.
Absolutely. And you can see that when, I don't know if viewers have been to Albatross, but like when Hassan performs, you can kind of feel that like almost otherworldly being and otherworldly energy to where like you're seeing the performance, it's like, wow, like they're killing it, like they're doing so well. And it kind of leads into my next question. So like how did you get the journey of becoming of not only performing in Astoria, but performing at Astoria's like most popular gay bars like Icon, Albatross, and Queen, and like kind of like what was that journey like?
I started my first time in drag ever at Albatross. They were the ones hosting the debutante show with Suddenly Seymour. And it was that was the beginning of me getting introduced to just the community in general in Astoria. And I feel like it's very they are one big family. Like, everybody has truly, truly just embraced me. And I remember when I used to go to Albatross, I used to, I used to live in Jackson Heights. And it was very, everybody was always so welcoming. And then as the years went by, I started getting to know people, and I started like really nurturing these relationships with people there. And they're all sister bars. So Icon, Albatross, and Queen are all three kind of owned by the same society of people. And there's always, the regulars that come always. And I have my regular visitors too that will come to my shows. And it's just really become such a welcoming environment and such a nurturing environment for me and my art, that I would not be the same performer that I would be today if it were not for these spaces where I can just really be myself. Um and I feel very lucky to have that.
Absolutely. And I'm not a regular albatross, but I'm there quite frequently. I haven't worked out regular status yet, but like when you guys go to the bars and like when you guys be there to any of the viewers and listeners, you can feel the home, you feel the family aspect, you feel the love when you walk in. Like it could be a random birthday it could be a random birthday, like everyone's singing happy birthday, or it's like it's a disco classic and everyone's singing along and dancing. So you kind of just feel the love and kind of just feel the warmth
Mhm.
that out there, and it just feels like, welcoming to all, and that like everyone is welcome to be there and there isn't really any judgment.
And no shade, but like it's not like these other bars in these other places um where you walk into the bar and it's just a bunch of like other white gays being like, you know what I'm talking about. When they're just like, and it's not that.
Yeah.
It's not that at all. And I love that, because I'm like, yeah, I mean, I'll walk into these spaces sometimes and like get looks, you know, but it's usually from somebody that's like not there, like not used to like this. And then
Yeah.
when they see that everybody's like talking to each other, they're like, the fuck, like, what? So it is very nice that like we are able to maintain that level of communication, because like now with social media and like all of this, like people just like they only hang out with their clique when they're out and whatever. So it's kind of weird when somebody talks to them. But it's like I always say, it's New York City, like you never know who you're gonna be around, and you never know who you're gonna meet. So I'm always down and open to like meet people and have conversations, and especially in queer spaces.
100%. And being in those creative spaces, you've kind of built yourself up to being Hassan, the bearded drag queen. But you have your own drag children, and you have not one, not two, not three, but four of your drag children. So how did that come into fruition, and kind of how did it be like, yeah, like, I felt like I built up a solid enough brand to like kind of like let me branch out and like, raise up some other babies.
Yeah, so I didn't really have a drag mother. I feel I always say like my drag mother was my actual mother because she was so like incredibly glamorous, and she was very camp in the way that she just naturally was in her personality. But I I wanted to influence somebody to see themselves in the way that I see them. When you see somebody and you're like, wow, like this person like really loves the art of drag, and now they're telling you that they want to do it, and like I want to help you get there. That's what has happened with me and my drag children. It's like, the first one is one of my best friends, David slash Greener Pastures, and that was my first ever drag child. There was a debutante show last year that just they were like, I really want to do drag, I really want to go ahead and try it. Um and then I helped them, do it, and they slayed. They were so good. And then since then it's just kind of like I've been a mentor to my drag children, and it's just really been lovely to be able to help them create the visions that they have in their head. And I feel like as artistry, like, I they're not just incredible people, but they're also super talented in their own ways, that it's not I'm trying to copy and paste me. It's I am trying to help you find something that maybe even I don't have, but I know that you can really use this to your advantage and you can really grow from this.
Well, absolutely. I had the pleasure of interviewing one of your drag children, baby hairs, and they spoke so highly of you. Like I spoke so like the love was there, and like they just spoke so highly and spoke very very vividly about like how like you don't push yourself onto your children. You want your children to put their be their most authentic selves without it being like, oh, like I'm pushing myself onto you and you have to be like me. It's more of a hey, like I know that's what you want to do, pursue that, and I will be here more than anything else. And they even told me that like when your children are performing, you tend to carry their bags and like oh like they'll carry your bags. And just that's a really cute like little anecdote that they brought up about you. I thought that was amazing.
I hate her. I'm kidding. Yeah, I really, I always say that like your drag children are supposed to be themselves. Like your drag children are not. I mean, there is maybe like a certain essence that
Yeah,
us all, but it's not a direct copy of me. I don't want to have, Hassan 1, 2, 3, and 4.
yeah,
That's not what I want. But I really, and especially with baby hairs too, because she's the only one of my drag daughters that sings well. And listen, I be telling the truth, honey. Okay. And when I saw baby hair sing for the first time, it was just so incredibly like inspiring for me because I didn't even know they did drag. I was just like, wow, this person is so incredibly talented. And we have hung out before, like I knew that they did drag
of course.
because they came to my shows and they were super supportive. And then the second I heard them sing, I was like, oh my God, you're so incredibly talented. Like, where did you learn how to sing? And then that's when we broke the ice of them being a musical theater person. And when I knew they did drag, I was like, oh my God, like I would really be honored for you to be my drag daughter. And like, I want you to keep doing this, and I want you to do this in drag. They had already been they had already dabbled with drag before we met, but it was really lovely to just get to further push baby hairs to do, more.
Yeah.
And it's just been I like that also is my baby. Like I love baby hairs so much, and we have grown into such a beautiful friendship as well. And just the way that I have seen them grow in the past year even has just been so beautiful and rewarding in so many ways.
Oh, that's amazing to hear. And it's, because you speak so highly of them and they speak so highly of you. I think that, and even when I see you guys interact in person, it gives love. Like, it gives, like, this is my family. I'm very protective of my baby, but, like, they're going to do what they want to do. And that's kind of just them. And I think that you just see the love. And I think that that's the best part.
Absolutely.
And,
Yeah.
the really interesting part about, like, we live in states that are very supportive of like being queer and being, loving, caring. Like, I'm from Jersey, you live in New York. And but other states aren't so lucky to have that privilege, like Minnesota, Kentucky, the Midwest mainly, where like, they want to ban drag and they want to kind of like, oh, like drag queens can't read the children, or like they want to shut down drag queens even performing. And then it's kind of interesting because like ACLU has reported that 21 drag laws have been kind of like put into fruition, including some that rolled over from last year. So kind of like, what has been your experience? I don't know if you have experienced like a drag queen, but what has been like your, I guess, outlook on what's happening in the Midwest, and like how does that like kind of affect how you present your drag and like kind of what you do or anything like that?
I always say that being yourself right now in this time is the biggest political movement you can make as an individual. Um these people are these people say that us liberals are so sensitive about everything and whatnot. But God forbid you see a man in a wig and it's just, oh my God, how dare you? And it's just wild for me because it's not nobody's trying to take these people's privileges away. Nobody's trying to take um, you know, some white man who works in a government job. No one's trying to take his gig, but no one's coming for anything. But it's like it's really, really sad that there hasn't even been an effort to try to understand this because they don't want that, and it's really sad for me that religion has been weaponized in such a way that is so hurtful and that is so dangerous to our community. We as a society need to understand that, like, it's not about pushing some agenda. It's not about pushing some kind of, you know, what is it was ulterior motive.
Hmm.
But it's about just acceptance. It's about
Yeah,
we're not and especially like performers that do the drag queen story hour and they read to kids, that we know there are audiences. It's not we're gonna do the same numbers that we're gonna do for children. We're not doing that number. We're not doing S&M by Rihanna and
yeah, of course. And a library.
outfit like at the library. That's not, it's a very drag is so vastly different from one another that there are some people that just do drag queen story hour. There's performers, many performers here in New York City that only do drag queen story hour, and all of their numbers are, here's the book, and then they dress like a fairy or a butterfly
Yeah.
or a princess, and it's just reading the book and teaching the kids how to read. I mean, and who better equipped to teach how to read than a drag queen, baby?
And okay,
What I
period.
mean, but it's just sad that these people have not tried to meet us halfway when so many of us try many times to open up a conversation of acceptance and open up a conversation in which we can both figure out a way to find peace in this situation, because at the end of the day it's only going to get more dangerous if we do not. There's kids. I mean, with social media and everything, things have gotten so much more heightened. But I will say, in a positive and in a negative way, because now the kids that are reading all of this hate, they're only going to learn that. They're going to learn the hate. They're going to learn how to, be more violent towards queer people when they do encounter them in real life. And that's dangerous for our community. And it's dangerous for it's dangerous for everybody who's not a white cis man.
Yeah, pretty much.
And we all need to understand, like, that there's a bigger picture here, and there's just letting people live their lives, letting people just exist, and understanding people. That's what this entire country was about, allegedly.
Absolutely. Allegedly. Allegedly. Absolutely. Because I feel like a lot of times, like, all it is, we just want to be heard and understood just as much as the next person. And they kind of, a lot of times, it's like, oh, well, being gay is harmful. Who said that? To who? Being harmful to who? Because it's like, the same thing could be said about, like, oh, being straight is harmful and pushing the normative gender roles of,
Mhm.
whatever. That's just as harmful as a gay, like, it's a really it's a tightrope that we always have to struggle with being a queer person, where like it's kind of like, can't do this, can't do that, kind of have to stay on like this narrow path of not offending anyone, and it kind of can get a little tricky depending on where you're from. And it's even to the point where like now, like on television and on shows, we're kind of seeing that where like now like a lot of drag queens are trying to give back and trying to like help out the queer community because we tend to be the under I don't say privileged, but underrepresented, and like even like having like the new season of All Stars where it's like just charity based. And I do have a lovely question for you. Like, would you ever want to be on RuPaul's Drag Race? If so, and also, what would your talent segment be? Because that's going to be one of the challenges. I'd love to know, like, what would you want to do if you were like, given a chance to be like, hey, this is my talent.
Um, yes, I would love to be on the show. Um, and my talent segment would be I would sing, of course.
I would hope so. Like, I'd be like, that'd be a given. I would hope so.
Yeah, I would sing. I mean, I don't know what I would sing, but it would be me singing with backup dancers and just living a pop girl fantasy.
Period.
Um, Honestly, I mean, I think that, if I were to get on the show, I would be there. The chances are likely that I would be the first bearded drag queen
Love that.
in America, because Danny Beard
Yeah.
won season 2 of Drag Race UK, but I would be the first one in America. So I feel like my talent segment would be like a song about a beard. You know what I mean? Like
Period. Yeah.
it would be something camp, but also like I would sing the fuck out of it because I'd be like, this is my forte and this is what I can do.
Yeah. Awesome. And it's
I
like
would
it's funny
do
that
it,
you
and
mentioned
I would do it on key because a lot of these other drag queens that be trying to sing on the show. Listen, I am not shady. I am just honest. And that is the truth, okay? And y'all know that I'm not wrong.
very valid and very truthful. So how did you discover how did you discover that you had such an incredible singing voice and like just be able to because I've seen you perform live numerous times. It eats. You eat. You sing the house down boots. Uh you do the damn job. You do it well.
Thank you.
Angela Bassett, you did the thing. Like you do the thing. And it eats. And it's like, how did you know to be like, listen, I know that I can get up on the stage and sing my heart out and people are gonna eat it up, no
Mhm.
matter the song, no matter the genre. So like how did you learn and like figure that out?
Um, I have been singing ever since I could speak. Like my mom would always say that like I would listen to music and I would hum along to the song and I would just try to like sing the song. But when I was 5, there was a small little school. There was like a school show of Aladdin, and they cast me as Aladdin because brown. And
Yeah.
yeah, and then they were afraid that I was gonna be very nervous to go out there and sing the song. Oh, honey, she said, "This is my moment. I'm gonna have it." I went out there and I gave the children what they needed. I turned the party, and they were like, "Oh, okay." So from then on, I kind of just was like the one that they, you know, amid all the shy kids, I
Yeah.
was the one that was like, "Oh, hold my poodle, let's go." And and then I just kind of became like the star of the school, and it was like a small, school in Colombia. But there, I had a lot of support. I had a lot of help into doing the things that I did. So when we moved to the US, my parents put me in formal singing classes and formal theater classes, modeling, but I was like I was a little chunky, I was a little chunky to be modeling, but have you ever seen Modern Family?
Yes.
Sofia Vergara's son
Yes.
in that show, that was like the spitting image
Oh.
of who I
Yeah.
was as a kid. And but I had the voice. So it was always like, all right, that's the one that can sing. And then when I got into high school, I got into a performing arts high school, Frank Sinatra School of the Arts. Hey. And that's when it just really changed my life. Like I got the most formal training. I was very lucky enough um to nurture that talent. And after that, I got into a professional choir. We toured Israel, Austria, Switzerland, and it was just like the most like the most professional thing I'd ever done. And then, following that, I was just I have carried my talent through drag, um and I really love what I do. I really love singing. It's kind of always been the calling that I know that I've had, and I can really reach people in that way.
Absolutely. So, like, what was your experience like being in a professional choir? Because, like, this is something really cheesy, but whenever I think of choir, I think of like Pitch Perfect and like the choir groups. Like, what was the experience like being in a professional choir that like traveled across the world and did and sang in many different places?
It was not as like upbeat as Pitch Perfect, because we were doing
Yeah,
like opera and concerts. So
got
it
it. Okay.
was all very like, tuxedo and
Yeah,
more like very like
yeah.
serious music. So it was not like that, but yeah, it was fucking awesome. And I hope to do it again one day. Um, but as of now, I'm the star. I'm not in the background. I am the one in front. And just seeing like, you know, from that time, that was a long time ago. But seeing like Safira Cristal and Monet Exchange like headline at Lincoln Center, and then having seen, all of these other drag performers like Jinx Monsoon be on Broadway, Marsha be on Broadway. It's like drag is not no longer just a punchline or
No.
um somebody who's funny in the audience, in the cast. Like we are becoming, mainstream performers, and rightfully so. There's so much talent in drag, and it's just really nice to be able to see that, and to have hope that maybe one day that'll be me.
It's not a hope. It is a date and a time. It's not a hope, guys. It is a manifestation. And listen, when like you have to hear Hassan sing live to understand what I'm saying, it's not a hope. Like once you hear them, it's not a hope. It is a actuality and it is the truth because Hassan down, sings the house down, and sings the classics too. Not just the Ariana Grandes, but the classics, the Selenas, the Whitneys, the Donna Summers, the classics. And that leads to my question. So what is your criteria when it comes to like picking a song that you want to perform for a drag audience? Or like do you just have like your repertoire of like today I want to do this one, I'm gonna do this one, let's do a mashup of these two songs. Like how does that work for you?
I kind of feel it out, but I always have like a set list. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, and then I have to be quick on my feet and change it around. But it usually is just how I'm feeling, B, what the event is. Because if I'm doing it'll be very different if I'm doing like a brunch, or if I'm doing like a benefit for something. Because if I'm doing a benefit, I'm gonna do probably like something a little bit more intentional of like
Yeah,
what that benefit is for, or if I'm doing a tribute show. Um, but if I'm doing a brunch, I'll do something more upbeat and fun and bubbly, and then something that gets people dancing. I'm not gonna be singing "Praying" by Kesha uh, at a brunch. You know what I mean?
yeah,
But I will probably do it if I'm like at a fundraiser for something.
yeah,
Yeah,
of course.
so something like that. I kind of just always tailor what the performance is. And sometimes, I just wing it.
Do you have like a favorite set that you just kind of like not saying like you're always gonna perform, but a favorite has been like, listen, if all else fails, we're gonna perform this one song and just hope it works. Like, do you have that one song that you go to that you just perform?
It's Beady Beady Bum Bum for sure.
Ah,
You've been to a Hassan show, you know exactly what you're gonna get with Beady Beady Bum Bum. Like that is it's so fun. It's that song is such a fun song to sing, and I love Selena so much. Um, and it's just, it's something that's wild to see, because wherever I am and I sing that song, there's people from all backgrounds that know that song, and that will sing that song with me. And I'm very intentional about being like, all right, like I'm like beady beady bum bum, and then I make people sing it. And it's, whoever I go to will know how to sing it. And it's just really nice, because it's like music is so music can reach so many different cultures and backgrounds.
absolutely. And it's like, listen, Selena goes hard no matter the age bracket, no matter the gender. It's just Selena's a classic and it's a go-to. But also this leads to a really fun, interesting thing. You're a part of a singing group of performers called House of Z, where they're people of color that sing throughout NYC. How did you get involved in that? Like, and kind of what has been the process like being in a art collective like that?
Yeah, so the house mother is the Suburbia. She is a camp singing drag queen as well, and she's just so incredibly talented and um crafty and just knows her brand so well. That even before I was bearded, I would see the Suburbia sing around the city. And I was like, wow, like this person is so talented and like what they do. And then we became friends. And from the get-go, they were so supportive of me. They were so, lovely and um I always asked them like for advice. And so when they reached out and she was like, "Hey, like I want to have you be a part of this singing drag house." I said, "Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like this is something that is, and everybody in the house is people that like I really love and respect and look up to. We're all equals. We're all, there to grow together and learn from each other, and it's just been really lovely. We had our first showcase at the
How'd it
Sultan.
go?
It was really lovely. Everybody, showed up, showed out. We sold out. It was at the Sultan Room in Brooklyn, and we're having our second showcase because there's a lot of us at Come On Everybody, which is going to be, I don't know when that's gonna be, but please follow us at House of the on Instagram. And it's just it really, and then all of us have like our different gigs that we do throughout the city that we, have special guest appearances by somebody in the house. Um, so it's just really lovely to be able to have all of our talents merge in together and we'll sing duets together. We'll do this,
Mm.
we'll do that. So it's just really, really nice to be able to be seen as not only an artist, but a singing drag artist and a person of color.
Oh, that's honestly amazing to hear, and it kind of makes me think of your drag daughter, Baby Hair. So, Baby Hair sings live as well, and I really wanted to ask. So I'm gonna ask you because I asked Baby Hair this question, so I'm gonna ask you this question: would you and Baby Hair ever do like a duet at a karaoke show? Had that been talked? Had there been like songs picked out to be like, listen, you want to try this out tonight? What has that been like?
Yeah, we need to get our shit together, rehearse and rehearse a duet for sure. That will happen. That will happen soon. We did something at one of the karaoke's. I don't remember what it was, but it was just like one of those days where we were celebrating. I think we were celebrating her birthday,
Hmm.
and just like all of a sudden we just were like, all right, shall we try this? And then we did it. I don't remember what song it was, but yes, we will absolutely be doing a duet very soon.
Absolutely, and that's a day that Albatross needs to be packed out. People needs to be packed
Oh,
out, packed out to the
baby,
door. Sitting
come
outside,
through, come
windows
through.
to the glass, trying to hear.
Yes,
Um, but yes, no, and it's just your voice is truly impeccable, and your voice, you've kind of lended your talents to recording a song, and a very sentimental song at that, called "After the Flowers," and it's your voice on that song is amazing, and the message is amazing, and just it's amazing. So kind of like, what was that process like? Laying down the track and just being like, I'm gonna give my all, and this is what I have to offer for everyone.
I didn't want to create a sad song that was slow because I mean, for me, pain is only temporary, no matter how big it is, and it's not gonna last forever. So I wanted that song to represent the journey in the long run of that painful moment in my life. I created that song because I lost both of my parents within 6 months of each other 2 years ago. And my mom died of cancer, and my dad unexpectedly passed during a surgery. And so it was a really hard time for me. Um, but it wasn't until after I got the flowers, after I got the condolence cards, and after everybody just kind of, I mean, we all have our lives, and after everybody stopped checking in on me, that is when I started my real journey, is when I had to face the world and realize that, yeah, the world didn't stop revolving just because my parents died. And it was a song that I wanted to have other people, dance along to, but it's like it's a crying at the club song. I wanted people to just be like, um, oh, I can feel my feelings while still, you know, dancing with the people I love and embracing the people I love. Because for me, that's life. You go through ups and downs, and but you have to keep moving. You have to keep doing it, and that's a really lovely homage to just the journey that I went through, and I hope that can inspire somebody.
Absolutely, because I listened to the song and I was like, I was even choked up myself, and I like it's a beautiful song, and it's one of the songs where like it touches on the heartstrings, but it's also like this has a little banging beat to it. Like this is a little groovy, It makes you like literally wanna cry in the club. Like you're like and then just like crying. And it's a real emotion and it's a real thing that happens. And it often isn't talked about, or like the songs that are about crying in the club are kind of like the slower songs that are just like I'm crying in the club and I'm so sad, but yours is like a really like upbeat, high tempo. It makes the energy like you feel it, and I think it's an amazing song. And I kind of want to ask you, like, would you ever perform the song live, or is that kind of something that's like I don't know if I would be able to handle that? Like, how would you ever want to do that?
I do perform the song live.
Oh my god, period. Oh my god, amazing.
Yeah, yeah. I'm actually performing it on Thursday. Because I'm singing at the borough president's um pride party. And then he's going to be declaring National Cecilia Gentili Day.
Oh
Um, and I'm opening up the like the in memoriam section for her. It's a really
my god,
big,
that's amazing.
very honored to be able to do it. And it's just, yeah, I mean, it does apply. It's a very grief stricken song, so for sure it's gonna be one of those moments where I'm gonna be very humbled and honored to do it.
That honestly sounds beautiful to hear, and like to get the pleasure of like performing your own music at an event as massive as that. That's truly amazing. And congratulations to you also.
Thank you.
No problem. And like, has music always kind of been like an emotional outlet for you, or has there been like other things that you kind of like ran to kind of like express how you feel mentally and like kind of like cope with your emotions?
Yeah, I mean, it's wild how, you know without directly saying things, music can make you feel something, and the message that music can really bring, it just cuts so much deeper than words. um I feel like music is one of the things that like describes love the most, which is why there's so many love songs.
Yes.
It's like I feel like you can't really put a definition to love, but with music it just kind of like really goes there and makes you feel it, and it's just so incredible to be able to appreciate that, and then to be able to have something that sends that message, and that I'm able to kind of like reach in somebody's soul and be like, hey, it's all right.
Absolutely. And oftentimes as like as a queer community, we don't really get to have like there are many queer songs about being sad, but there aren't many about being like upbeat and happy, especially after like a grief stricken moment. So I think that that's amazing. And oftentimes in the queer community, we kind of have to deal with the consequences of being queer, and it's sad to say this, but like it tends to come with like mental health issues because being queer isn't always allowed depending on like where we're from or like our upbringing. So kind of like what has your experience been like as like a queer person, kind of like I don't want to say dealing, but kind of like coping with their own mental health and like being able to understand themselves and kind of like see what's going on without being destructive to oneself.
Yeah, I mean, we're exposed to so much in the queer world. We're exposed to a lot of drugs, we're exposed to a lot of alcohol, um, where it's kind of hard to, like, it's easy to spiral and find yourself in always going out, always drinking, always being exposed to drugs, etc. Um, so it's always good to find moments in which you can ground yourself in. and find the joys in life. Like, I love going to a park with a friend. I love doing something during the daytime as well. I love, you know, even if there's nights when, I will go out to a bar and not drink. I'll have a mocktail and I'll be fine, And it's always good to know your limits, especially if you're feeling a certain type of way. I know that there were many nights during right before the passing of my mom where I would go out and get wasted, and not in a good way. It always ended with me apologizing to people the next day. It always ended with me just kind of being in a very dark place, and obviously rightfully so. But I realized that that was not where I wanted my life to go, because if I kept doing that, then I was just going to harm myself even more. So I always urge everybody to just find find the happy medium of everything in moderation. Um, and then also find somebody that you can rely on to help you stay accountable, because it's easy to just slip into a cycle that is not so healthy.
Absolutely. And then there are even times in like if you are out there and like, your friend isn't doing I don't think doing the best job because our friends are there to take care of us, but like sometimes you do need a little extra help and sometimes you do need therapy. I'm a huge advocate of going to therapy and like getting the because sometimes your friends are there to listen, but the therapist is kind of there to get paid to listen.
Mhm.
So, sometimes an issue is bigger than just telling your friend that it needs a more clinical and more medicated perspective. So going to therapy is also an amazing thing that I've learned to do. And yeah,
Oh my God, yes. Please go to therapy and be honest with your therapist. Y'all heard me?
yes,
Be honest with your therapist. This is not somebody that you have to convince that you're not crazy, because no one, I mean, crazy, leave that word out of whatever. But it's not somebody that you have to convince that you're okay. A lot of the times I hear, "Oh, well, I don't want my therapist to think I'm like the
psycho or
worst patient
something.
I have or whatever." Who cares if you are? You're there to grow, you're there to learn, you're there to be a better version of you, and that starts with honesty. If you lie to yourself, then you're not growing. You have to be honest with yourself. And a lot of the times, you know, growth takes a huge amount of accountability, self accountability, because you do play a role in so many aspects of your life. And even though sometimes it's not your fault, but you do play a role in it. And you have to find the spots where you're like, hey, what could I have done different to avoid this outcome? What can I do different in the future to avoid this outcome? Because if not, then nothing changes and you will stay the same.
Absolutely, because sometimes it takes us to break the generational curses that like our parents experience or like that are brought on from like a different religion or ethnicity. So it takes you being the changing power in your own life and taking control and be able to be like, listen, enough is enough. We need to do better and need to want more.
And not settling for less. We are at a point in time where we have access to so much information, so many resources, that it is up to us to be able to level up in our own lives and for our own future too. We are the generation that's going to be teaching the future. And we're the generation that what I mean, you see all these kids growing up with the internet. Like, we were alive during the time where there wasn't all of this. And I can only imagine how 20, 30 years from now it's going to be, and how much information they're going to have.
100%. And it's amazing. And just to segue on a little bit, the advice that we talk about amongst ourselves is really good, but like what would if a queer person was to come for you or like even just your younger self, like hey, I'm really struggling right now. I don't know what to do. I want to chase my dreams, but I'm not sure. Like, what would you tell them? And kind of like what would you be like, hey, like, what would be some advice you'd give them?
To not always try to people please. I spent a lot of my younger years trying to please others instead of pleasing myself. Trying to be afraid of anybody's reaction if I was honest with them. Um, and I was always afraid to lose people because I would, I guess, get figured out, or I would say something that maybe they wouldn't like, but maybe that's how I felt. And I feel like now it's, the people that want to be there for me are going to be there for me. And
Absolutely.
if I cannot be honest with my friends, then they're not really my friends. And I feel like that's a really big piece of advice that I wish I had carried out when I was younger. And then to just find things that make you happy, and maybe it's weird, maybe it's not weird to other people, but like if it's weird for to them, and they shut you out and they try to alienate you, then fuck them. You
Pretty
know,
much, yeah.
really is that it really is the truth. And you know, it goes back to people pleasing. Like that was really the biggest lesson that I learned later in my life. That was like, no, I am living my life, and I will please those who care about me, who love me, but who also just let me be.
Absolutely. And then, is there, since you do have drag children, has there been any advice that you distinctly remember giving to your drag children, when they started their journey, or like when asked when you whether or not sort of like doing a project or anything like of that nature?
Um, I'm very honest with my drag children. So if there is, so like if I mean, and they know that, like, I never mean anything out of like out of a bad place. I always want them to be the best versions of themselves. So if I see something that like maybe they can improve on, or if I see a certain type of behavior that I'm like, hey, this is not going to serve you, then I will say it. Like I am lucky now to be surrounded by people that allow me to be honest with them, um and allow me to just be upfront with them, and communicate. Communication is so important, y'all. It is so, so important. So I feel like, you know, and then vice versa, because
Yeah.
I love having difficult conversations with people, and when necessary, and it's just really lovely to just be able to be like, hey, thank you for being straight up with me because I needed that. Um so yeah, I mean, I love inviting those kinds of conversations for sure.
Absolutely. And it's amazing to hear that you have such an open line of communication in your life throughout, like, just in general, it's kind of like a rule of thumb. And I think that's amazing. That's beautiful to hear. And I
It
just
hasn't
want to,
always been easy. I've lost people for sure, and it makes me sad. But at the end of the day, like if I can't have an open conversation, or if I can't have an open discussion with you, then it just kind of means that A, you don't have the like emotional maturity to be able to handle honesty. And to be honest, I don't want that. I want somebody to I love upfrontness. I love when somebody's direct with me, and I don't like having to dig around for the truth.
yeah, that's kind of, it can get a little annoying. How to be like, hey, like, just tell me what it is so that we can kind of like move along and be very good. I think I myself, I want to give you your flowers, because I think a lot of times we tend to give queer people their flowers when they're passing, or like when they're, on their, I don't say they're dead, but like on their like dying bed or something. And I just want to give you your flowers because I think that you are an amazing person and what you do is so impactful. And seeing you live at Albatross, I've seen it you perform at least 5 times. Applause to you. Like, you get on the stage and you knock it out the park each and every time. And there you go in the crowd and you mingle with other people and you're just such an amazing person. And like hearing your journey and hearing your story, you learn a new perspective about you, and I'm just impactful that you even have this opportunity to interview you. I know it's Prime Month. I know you're very busy, so thank you again for like taking time out of your busy schedule to be for being here, not once but twice. But I just wanted to give you your flowers because I feel like you truly deserve them, and not after the flowers like your song, but now currently in this day and time, you deserve your flowers.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Like it really, I mean, it is Pride Month, and yes, we're all busy. We're all doing a bunch of stuff, but thank you. I really appreciate you saying that.
Absolutely, and just to wrap things up in a nice tight bow. Do you have any upcoming projects, gigs, things you want to tell me, get the tea on, what's going on?
I do, I mean, yeah, I'm doing a bunch of stuff this month. I'm doing the borough president's office party. I have a bunch of pride brunches. I'm doing Time Out Magazine's Pride event on the 29th. I'm hosting Astoria Pride also on the 29th.
Ooh.
It's a big that's a big day for me. I yeah, I'm doing like a bunch of stuff here and there, and oh, and on Monday, June 17th, which is also my birthday,
Woo!
I'm going to be singing my original song and a song called La Llorona with a 10-piece orchestra at the Brooklyn Roulette. So I'm very, very excited about that. And it's a really beautiful way to ring in my 30th birthday and to just celebrate what I do and my art and be around people that I really love.
Absolutely. And I think that that sounds beautiful. And then one final thing, where can the kids find you? Where can the kids keep up with you? Where can the kids, if they want to come to your brag shows, brag, brag, oh my God, drag brunches and things of that nature?
Brat brunches. Oh my God. I'm stealing it. Stealing it.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Charlie XCX themed. You can find me everywhere at Hassan in the world. That is HASSAN in the world on all platforms, um, including Tinder and Christian Mingle. Um, but yes, you can find me anywhere at Hassan in the world.
Absolutely. So once again,
And
thank you.
I'm working on new music.
Already, yes.
Summer, I will be working on an album. Um, I don't know the title of the album yet. It might be After the Flowers, um, but we'll see. I wanna pay homage to just my 20s and everything that I went through. It's gonna be very relatable. It's gonna be um, a little bit of a window into my life, and yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm so far. I've worked on one of the songs and I'm very excited. It's sounding
I'm
really
glad. So is it gonna be like a full like are we getting 5 songs? Are we getting an EP? Are we getting like a 10-song album?
we're getting like 6 to 7 songs.
Love to
And
hear
I
it.
will
I
have a
cannot
showcase
wait.
and I'll have a showcase and everything to debut.
I cannot wait to hear it. I'm super excited. I will be the first one listening, be like, this song is so good. I need to see it live. Um, but yes, no, again. Thank you so much for being on the podcast. You are amazing. Keep doing you. You are loved. Your story matters. What you do matters. And to everyone out there, drag is an art form that is never going to die and has been around for decades.
Absolutely.
So keep doing you. And thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Thank you, Damani. Have a good one. Thank you all. Mwah.